Well. Welcome into the show, everyone. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Dan Sileo joins the show today. That's right, an early dose of Sills coming at you. On the program today, we break down all things Eagles. He tells a beautiful story about Jerome Brown, a good friend of his, obviously, a former college teammate of his. We break it all down. And here's a funny thing. Yesterday, Nick Sirianni addressed the media. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. You know what? Let me just start with this. Joel Embiid dropped 51, a season high last night, okay? I'm excited about that, and I'm going to talk about the Sixers today, too. I have to at least mention that because that brings me joy. To talk about the Sixers right now, that brings me joy. Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, they're going to make me buy into the Sixers this year. Joel Embiid's going to make me care about the MVP award again, and I'm ready to get hurt again. That's what it comes down to. But they had a great win over the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday, and we'll talk about it. But I do have to start with the Eagles because Nick Sirianni addressed the media at 4 o'clock yesterday. I was a guest on Dan Sileo's show yesterday at 4:30. So obviously before Dan's show, I want to make sure I catch a little bit of what the head coach had to say. Now, the funny thing is, usually the press conference is about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Usually it's about 20 minutes. This time around, it was like 26 minutes. So it was a little closer to a half hour there. So I was a little nervous that I was going to be late for Dan's show because I had to watch this presser. This was the most uncomfortable press conference from Nick Sirianni in quite some time. I think you'd have to go back to the post-Flower Power speech of 2 years ago. And I even made that point last week about how this team looked like it was spiraling out of control. And the last time I had this small amount of confidence in the Eagles was right around that Flower Power speech. The last time I had this small amount of confidence in Nick Sirianni was right around that Flower Power speech. And ever since then, they turned into this great football team that was making the playoffs and made it to a Super Bowl. And we all know, and Jalen Hurts is in the running for MVP and all that stuff and all that. So I'm watching this yesterday, and I'm actually seeing Nick Sirianni get snippy. Snippy Sirianni returned. And he's talking about accountability. He's talking about pass interference. It was absolutely insane. And he looked like, for a guy that has sometimes some trouble putting some words together with public speaking, he started to flounder a little bit. And that never inspires confidence. And I understand that years ago, a couple years back, I should say, he had this big Flower Power speech, and somehow magically all turned out right in the world, except for, actually winning the Super Bowl last year. But, that's still pretty tough to do. I am at my lowest point with this 2023 Philadelphia Eagles team. And I would really like to not sink any lower over the last 3 games of this season. And we all know the schedule, but good Lord, you got the Giants twice and the Arizona Cardinals once in this. These are 3 wins. If you're what you were, if you really are truly more of that 10-1 team than you are of the 0-3 team that you've been for the last 3 games, then these 3 games should be a cakewalk. All right, you've hit a tough stretch. I've heard people on the national media scale like Colin Cowherd talk about how everyone in Philly needs to relax. Everyone chill out. They're a better football team than this. Yeah, okay, I hope so. But the Eagles have been teetering on an average football team all season long. What do you think about games that they've had this year where they have struggled, gotten a couple of bounces, gotten a lucky call, been on the benefit of a good bounce, whatever the case may be? Now, over the course of time, yeah, you could certainly look at it and go, well, they found a way to win. And that's what I was saying throughout the entire time. But I knew throughout the entire process they never looked like a team that was going to win a Super Bowl. They never controlled games, very rarely. The one example is the Miami Dolphins game against an upper echelon opponent controlling games. And then you get blown out of the water against the Niners. You get blown out of the water against the Cowboys. You lose to a Drew Lock-led Seattle Seahawks team. Yeah, I'm not feeling great right now. And then your head coach, your team in general, starts to make ridiculous claims. So starts to do ridiculous things. Demoting Sean Desai and elevating Matt Patricia with 4 games left in the season. That's nuts. All right, there's no other way to look at it. That's nuts. And then hearing Nick Sirianni talk about how he was hoping for pass interference on the final throw by Jalen Hurts against the Seahawks. So let me get this straight. Your options on that final play where you only needed about 15 yards to get in the field goal range for Jake Elliott. That's comfortable field goal range for Jake Elliott. They air it out downfield for A.J. Brown, thinking A.J. Brown's going to catch this. A.J. Brown's not going to catch this. A.J. Brown's not going to catch this, and they get a pass interference call in the meantime. No chance it gets intercepted by trying to force it in. No chance. And one of the things that drives me crazy in his answer, and I'll play it for you in a second, is that he talks about one-on-one coverage. It wasn't that great one-on-one coverage, or it wasn't that steady of one-on-one coverage if defensive back number 2 came over to intercept the football. Not great. So the better options, the Eagles were reliant on A.J. Brown coming up with a huge catch, a pass interference call, and not Kenny Gainwell on the delayed route out of the backfield that could have gotten you very easily those 15 yards while you got 2 timeouts left in the clock. So how do you feel about the Eagles right now? Not great. Not great. Nick Sirianni was also asked about Jalen Hurts and accountability, and the theme of yesterday's press conference, other than pass interference, was accountability. And yeah, it was the first time this season I'd really seen Nick Sirianni get a little attitude about him, get a little annoyed. And I don't blame him, by the way. I know some people might take that as, oh, the sky is falling and he's panicking. And I'm well past that. I have already thought the panic move was 1,000% the Desai decision with Matt Patricia here. If you're going to make that decision, you can do it a little earlier in the season. But then you would have to do it at 10-1. Oh, no, you can't do that. Or 9-1 or 8-1, whatever the case may be. So listening and watching Nick Sirianni yesterday, you saw him squirm a little bit. I never get upset when I see somebody getting a little perturbed at press conferences, because think about it, you get done your job, you have to go answer a bunch of questions about it. Do you really want somebody like second guessing you? Even if they're not second guessing you, there's no questioning what you're doing or what's going into your thinking there. You have to explain. That's got to be annoying. So I understand that part of it, the human aspect of it. But when your answers aren't making a sense, that's where it's uncomfortable, because you want to have confidence that this team is going to turn it around. You want to have confidence this team is going to get back to a level of, well, they can still win every game. They're still in every game. They can still find ways to win consistently. And if you do that, you're going to win a lot of football games. But what I have seen coaching-wise, what I have seen when he is at the desk there, or when he's answering questions in the press conferences, I'm not seeing a guy that inspires confidence. And then I have to hear from Jalen Hurts about how guys aren't buying in, guys aren't committed. Really? At this point in the season, you're not committed? That ain't right, man. And Jalen Hurts will address the media, I believe it's today. I still haven't gotten a schedule from the Eagles on there. Oh, here it is. Okay, it's updated media schedule. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, today, Thursday. Yeah, he is. Matt Patricia is addressing the media at 12:30. They have a locker room session at 12:45. Jalen Hurts is supposed to address the media at some point during the locker room session, so after 12:45, and then they'll have practice. So we will hear from Matt Patricia today, and we'll hear from Jalen Hurts. I look forward to Jalen Hurts maybe further explaining, and maybe some guys from the locker room explaining what Jalen Hurts meant by a lack of commitment. Really look forward to hearing about that from today's media sessions. And then tomorrow, Brian Johnson will address the media, as will Michael Clay. So usually they have all the coordinators on the same day. But Matt Patricia is not a coordinator, and he's talking today. So that's where we're at. Let's get into this little conversation before we let you guys hear from Dan Sileo. I'm going to play this in chronological order. All right. So Nick Sirianni addressed the media yesterday, and I'll set this up for you. He gets asked about Jalen Hurts and how Jalen Hurts is being coached. Basically, deep throws, not checking down, missed throws, missed opportunities. What's the thinking behind it all? What you're going to hear is Jeff McClain following up on a question. His previous question, how do you feel quarterback Jalen Hurts has played the last 3 games? Nick Sirianni says, I would say offensively we haven't played or coached up to our standard the past 3 games. Overall, as you look at the offense, I think there's a lot of similarities with our offense from last year statistically to this year, except for 2 major categories. That would be explosive plays and our turnover differential. Absolutely. So then Jeff McClain follows up with coaching Jalen Hurts to his standard. And when he's not playing up to that standard, how do you correct it? And what's the conversation like? Here's what Nick Sirianni had to say.
If and I understand that you don't have to voice all your criticisms of Jalen when he does something wrong, but publicly, but is it being told to him in the meeting room that when
I'm going to keep our conversations, like I said to the other guy, I'm going to keep my conversations with the players between me and the players. Accountability is our number 3 core value, and it's only number 3 because it came in that order. Connect, compete, accountability. They're not in any order. So accountability, you could, again, when Chris asked me the question, accountability, I didn't say something to Chris that I'm not saying to you right now. Accountability is the one of the main core values we have, and we live by those every single day.
Go ahead, Dave, and then Tim.
Hey, Nick. On either side.
I just said that 2 seconds ago. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm just prefacing the question. I think you'd agree with that. So when you look at the differences in the struggles offensively and defensively, what led you to make a coaching staff change on defense but not offense?
Yeah. So like I said, offensively, the last 3 games have not been consistently up to our standard. But if you look at our offense throughout, right? If you look at our offense throughout, it still is in the top 10 category in a lot of the statistical categories we look at, except for the turnovers and the explosive plays. And we got to do a better job on both of those things. We got to put the players in more positions to create explosive plays. But make no mistake about it, like this offense is being run the exact same way the offense was run last year and the year before that. This offense is my offense, right? This is my offense. And so the criticism on the offense, like I think unfairly goes to Brian. Brian calls the plays. It unfairly goes to Brian. The criticism on this offense should come at me. And
I find it interesting, one, that he talks so much about he calls the plays. That Brian Johnson calls the plays, and it's Nick Sirianni's offense. I find it very interesting. Brian calls the plays. Okay. I don't believe you. I think, yes, the majority of the plays are called by Brian Johnson, but I think that Nick Sirianni has a lot more influence on that other than just designing a game plan and then the day up just saying, here you go, Brian. Here's all the work I did during the week. Have at it. I don't think that's how it goes at all. As far as some of the snippy things, as I mentioned, he led the first question with Jeff McClain before Jeff's follow-up with, we haven't played to our standard. So Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia, put it out there saying, like, I think you'd agree you haven't played the standard. I just said that. All right, I would be annoyed. I'm going to let him go with that one, but you can definitely tell a little snipper here. And then you keep on going, and he starts talking about how this team hasn't played to their standard offensively, and consistently they haven't done it. So why not make the change? Well, his argument is that we're doing a lot of the same things that we did last year. We're doing it this year, and we're still having the same amount of success with the exception of these last 3 games. I mentioned to you guys before, points per game 3 games ago, this offense was scoring 1/10 of a point more than Shane Steichen's offense from a year ago. This is where I will introduce my favorite thing ever, which is numbers never lie, but they sure as hell do deceive. It's, for me, you talk about turnovers and you talk about splash plays, and those are 2 things that are constantly highlighted by Nick Sirianni in his press conferences. And he just mentioned it and talked about turnovers as well. Turnovers, splash plays. Where is the situation? Where's the situational coaching? Where's the situational game plan? Hey, we're winning 17-14. maybe on a 1st and 10 from the Seahawk 40, we don't bomb the ball 40 yards down the field to, Quez Watkins on essentially what ended up being maybe any other receiver, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, a 50-50 ball. Maybe you don't throw that up to Quez Watkins, regardless of one-on-one coverage over the middle of the field. Maybe you don't do that. Maybe you throw the ball to a running back. Maybe you throw the ball to a tight end. Maybe you throw it underneath, a little drag route. Maybe you continue to bleed the clock and control the game. You had 40 yards left in front of you to control the game. Eagles' first drive of the game, controlled the game. 15 plays, 10 runs, beautiful, 75 yards. You get into that drive towards the end of the game. You have an opportunity to put the game away. Oh, you go for a touchdown with 8:15 left on the clock, or you keep bleeding the clock, keep on moving the ball down the field, and the next thing you know, you still get that touchdown, put the game out of reach, and now they only have 4 minutes left to try to score, whatever the case may be, 11 points. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe that's what you do. But you don't. You act like Drew Lock and the Seattle Seahawks are the 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys, and you're down by 20 in the second half. Maybe that's what you that it would make more sense to me, as I've been saying all week. It would make more sense to me that if you were trailing at that point in the game, that's how you would play. But you were winning. Like, it almost reminded me of the Super Bowl of a million years ago now, where Bill Belichick's on the sideline against the Eagles and Donovan McNabb, and they're taking their time moving up the field, and Bill Belichick's looking at the clock and going, we're winning. Wait, hold on. They're trailing, right? We're winning? They're trailing? Why are they taking their time? I'm looking at the clock, watching that throw by Jalen Hurts, the first interception. I'm like, why? I know the highlight for everyone, the headline is Quez Watkins was targeted on it. Whatever. The fact that Jalen Hurts made that decision to throw the ball, or maybe Jalen Hurts is coached to go for that deep ball. Maybe that's the first read, the first progression. There's no progression, just read, throw. It's absolutely astounding that that's the decision they would make. And we talked about it yesterday with Bill Colarulo about the last play that they made against the Commanders in game one, where they threw the deep ball down the sideline, one-on-one coverage with A.J. Brown. I didn't mind that at that time. There wasn't that much time left on the clock. A.J. Brown's taunting. That's more of what I had an issue with. I don't understand how they could play this game against the Seahawks the way they did with the decisions that they made. So you want to talk about accountability? Where's that at? Because I'm not seeing things being coached up for Jalen Hurts here. Did he have fog brain because he was so sick? He was just, there's the guy, boom. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And to talk about not making changes offensively speaking, well, can we coach a little situational football? A little bit of that? Can we get a little bit of that, please? And then this is the one that just will make you bang your head against the wall. So please don't do that, because I want everyone who listens and watches this show to, not bang your head against the wall.
To the commenter formerly known as Professor Dutch, fine listener of the podcast, and for the rest of the people on the podcast, but Professor Dutch, Buddy Christ, I believe is what you go by now. Do you like to hike while you listen to this show? Don't hit your head on a rock when you listen to this next comment.
Last play of the game. We all know Kenny Gainwell was open underneath, that little delayed route into the flat. Instead, they go to A.J. Brown, deep down the field, try to go for it all. Well, apparently that's not all they were going for. Tim McManus, ESPN, Eagles beat reporter. Here he is with Nick Sirianni asking the question, for lack of a better way to put it, what the hell? What the hell? Why? Why do that? Here's Nick Sirianni.
Hey, Nick, on that second interception, was AJ the primary read? And why take a shot downfield in that situation where a shorter completion could have gotten you into field goal range?
Yeah, there's at times there, Tim, we've seen, you can get a pass interference there. It was what it was on that particular play, but if you get a pass interference call there, and if a team's giving you a one-on-one shot for, very similar to what happened on the other side of the ball, they ended up getting a one-on-one shot that, had some different things there, and we've seen it. We had one-on-one shot against the Rams, and you can get a pass interference, and now you're in position to kick it. So we have some of the best receivers in the NFL outside, and so there's times where you're going to do that. And We felt like in that situation we had an opportunity to. Hey, it didn't work out that particular time. But we've done it at other times in 2-minute drills, and it's worked. So, but in that particular time, it didn't work. So we understand the criticism. But not only could you get a pass interference, also AJ has a tremendous ability to come down with the football in one-on-one situations. And you know what? In this particular case, it didn't work out. But you know, we're comfortable with what was called and what we did in that scenario, and you know, we'll be better next time because of it.
All right. For those scoring at home, all right, if you're not scoring at home, rather, all right, that was 3 times. That was 3 times the head coach, the offensive-minded head coach of your Philadelphia Eagles referenced pass interference. 3 times he referenced pass interference. You know, you can get a pass interference there. You know, there's a thing called pass interference. You know, we might be able to get a pass interference call there. All right, so you were waiting for the ref to bail you out. With your MVP caliber quarterback, your stud wide receiver in A.J. Brown, and just for good measure, an open running back leaking out of the backfield on a delayed route that could have got you 15 yards, a better possibility or outcome for you to rely on, that's the key thing, to rely on, percentage of happening, was to go for pass interference. I feel like I'm on crazy pills. I this team. Like, I want to tell myself consistently, this is a better team than what we're seeing. This is a better team than what we're seeing. This is a better team than what we're seeing. This is a better team than what we're seeing. And so help me God, if they struggle against the Giants, or if they lose to Jonathan Gannon, if this offense is befuddled by Jonathan Gannon's defense, oh God, help me. That just reminds me about the Christian McCaffrey line. But I think my brain will explode. I think my brain will actually explode if that happens. That ain't good. That ain't good. That's not exactly a confidence builder when it comes to this Philadelphia Eagles team. He also referenced a number of occasions right there, one-on-one coverage on A.J. Brown. Yes, he had one-on-one coverage. Safety's leaking over. Safety ends up making the play. So it wasn't that much of one-on-one coverage. And it was another underthrown ball by Jalen Hurts. What are we doing? This isn't like, we're not stupid. The Philadelphia fan base isn't stupid. What are you doing here? And the fact that we consistently see this, the fact that 2 years running now, the Eagles target running backs less than any other team in the NFL, this makes me believe that Jalen Hurts is just simply coached to do this. I like to say, hey, I want to believe that the quarterback has final say over where the ball goes, because he's reading the field at that time. At that point, all the analytics go out the window, and it's all about what's happening right then and there at that point in time. And you mean to tell me the best play to make is Quez Watkins deep? You mean to tell me the best play to make is A.J. Brown streaking down the sideline? Like, even a casual, just game day only football fan that doesn't pay attention to anything else, first off, I envy you. Second, even that person, they know that is bat-you-know-what crazy. And yet that's what we're seeing time and time again from this Philadelphia Eagles team. That leads me to believe only one thing, that this is what he's coached to do. If you saw it last year and you had success, God bless you, you had success. And this year, not over these last 3 games, then that just tells me it's coaching. And that's overall scheme and philosophy. And if Nick Sirianni wants to take that on the chin and be upset and understand the criticism that's being thrown his way, and it shouldn't go to Brian Johnson, it should go to Nick Sirianni, well, then where are you changing things? Because I consistently see the same problems. And why tease us? Why tease us with that motion in the first possession and the first drive? Why tease us by moving that tight end screen and executing that a little bit different and playing that out, scheming that up just a little bit different than what we had seen throughout the entire time we've watched Nick Sirianni as a head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, even under Shane Steichen? That particular tight end screen of Dallas Goedert, where he kind of leaked behind the blocks a little bit, slid behind the blocks a little bit more. Why? Why was that different? Why get away from running the football more like he did in the first possession? It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So what I take out of this is that the Eagles have 3 plays. The Eagles have tight end screen. Okay. The Eagles have quarterback draw. It's a run, so let's take what we can get. And wish to God for pass interference. Great plan. That's a great plan. I don't feel great, ladies and gentlemen. I don't feel great. And I wish, after this conversation with Dan Sileo, I wish I would feel better. But I don't, even though I enjoy talking to Dan. That part's fun. I don't feel better about the state of the Eagles. That's where I'm at. So for you all here on Jacob, actually, before I get to Sills, let me just do this, okay? I'm gonna get to this more later in the show, but I just have to with Joel Embiid last night. This is from Basketball Reference. They put this out after the game. After the Sixers got a convincing win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, the number 1 team in the Western Conference, a team they lost to in Minnesota earlier in the season, 10 games ago without Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid went out there and dropped 51 points. 51 points on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert, pretty good as a the defensive center, right? They're pretty good at that stuff. Not yesterday. Not yesterday. Joel Embiid. Look at these numbers here. Every player in the Basketball Reference database. Now, Daryl Morey retweeted this. Every player in our database to have at least 12 straight games with 30 points and 10 rebounds. Ready for the names here? Joel Embiid, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Walt Bellamy. Embiid is the first one to do it since 1972. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, to distill this point even further, these are some numbers off ESPN. 40 points per game and a 60% field goal percentage in an 8-game stretch. Averaging 40 points per game and 60% from the floor in an 8-game stretch in NBA history. Ready for this one? Wilt Chamberlain, 1963. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 1972. Joel Embiid, December of 2023. Only 3 guys in NBA history to go through that in an 8-game stretch. Damn you, Sixers! You're going to make me buy in again. By the way, Tyrese Maxey, another 30-point game. Nah, ho-hum. They're going to make me buy in. I'm gonna get hurt again. Is what I'm gonna do. You know who I am? I'm Joaquin Phoenix in the Joker, and I am putting the clown makeup on in the mirror. Nick Nurse said something after the game last night that really stuck with me, and it was him quoting Joel Embiid. Something Joel Embiid told him was that it was even more than just the cliche that's come out with Joel Embiid of like, I'm just trying to be dominant. He says, I'm just going to try to go out there and dominate every single night, and I love that, and that's great. That's always what you want, but obviously I need that in the playoffs. And if Joel Embiid's going to be full tilt all season long, if he's going to be all system go all season long, then I need load management. I need load management more than anything. I know how good Joel Embiid is. I know Joel Embiid could, and most likely right now continues to play at this pace, continues to play the way he's playing, is going to be MVP again. That's great, and that'd be fun, and I'd love it, but I don't love it as much as I love winning an NBA championship. I don't love it as much as I love getting out of the Eastern Conference. And I know a lot of people are like, just get out of the second round. That ship has sailed. No. If they make it out of the second round this year, for me, that's not going to be at the end of the season. Well, at least they made it out of the second round. No. I need the finals, baby. I need the finals. This isn't like, oh, I wonder if Ben Simmons will develop a jump shot. We're not in that stage anymore. I wonder if Joel Embiid will ever win an MVP. Oh, he's got one. I wonder if they have a head coach that is smart enough to actually make adjustments in the game. Yeah, they got that. I'm not impressed with the participation trophy anymore. This isn't like they have some long build up here. They got like 2 years at most with this level with Joel Embiid. And then all of a sudden you're going to start to see the transition where this becomes more of Maxey's team and less of Joel Embiid's team. you know what? That ain't the worst thing in the world, but I'd like on that transition, I'd like for that, an NBA Finals appearance to already have been there when we get to about here. Okay? If this is Joel Embiid and this is Maxey, and Maxey's right here. Right here. That's what I'd like to see. All right. Without further ado, let's get to our friend Dan Sileo. Do you know Dan Sileo, of course, the National Football Show here? If you're a Jacob Media loyalist and follower, Dan Sileo is a show that you probably watch every day right here on the Jacob Media Sports Channel. So I figured, I've been on Dan's show a couple times. We got a good rapport. You know what I mean? I want to get him on my show. I want to give the people of Jacob Media the early dose of Dan. So joining us, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this fine conversation with our friend Dan Sileo. And joining us right now, the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. You know him, you love him, from the National Football Show right here on Jacob Media. Former Cane, former Buccaneer, former wrestler, and always a Sicilian.
Yes.
Dan Sileo, what's up, Big Sills?
Absolutely. and I know you refuse to bring up Cowboy, but hey, I mean, hey, Gary Cobb is totally, I said to him, I go, hey, how do you survive in Philly when they know you played for the Cowboys? He goes, I hide the helmet. I go, hey, so do I. Xander had me I had the helmet up once, and I go, you might want to take that one down. So I put the Buck helmet up, and we're ready.
There you go. I know there's a famous story of Harold Carmichael playing as a cowboy, walking in front of a mirror after all his years in Philadelphia and just going, nope, time to retire.
Right on, man. Absolutely, man. Hey, I know, guys. I get this. Zach Ertz. Did you see what he said a couple of weeks ago? Zach Ertz goes like this. Hey, the Cowboys have interest in me. He goes, that ain't working for me. He's like, that's not working for me. So, yeah, that thing goes deep. And, hey, by the way, too, man, I mean, this is in honor of Jerome Brown here, man. This was like at his funeral. The parents gave this to me when a couple his dearest friends and such, and that's the rosary that was given to us, or not the rosary, the palm leaves that were given to us. Reggie White was there. Seth Joyner was there. This was back in the day. So this is one of the things near and dear to my heart that I've had the entire time. And Mr. Brown gave this to me on the unfortunate passing back in the day. So crazy story, man. That whole thing was. I'll tell it to you one day.
It's a sad story, as we all know, but that's beautiful that you still have that, man. And I was going to ask, are those palms?
Yeah,
that's beautiful. That's
absolutely.
Beautiful.
And what was crazy about it was Jerome and I made a pact to each other back in the day that if anything ever happened to one of us, we'd always look into one of our kids. I didn't have any kids at the time. He had a young kid named D, and he's really wonderful kid. He's part of the Orlando Police Department now. And I check on him all the time. We helped him get ahead there with our friend John Morgan. And I check in with him every now and then just to see how he's doing. And so, we made a pact, man. This was, we were friends when we were 18 years old. So, I mean, that's a billion years ago, it seems. But man, I mean, so our deep love goes back a long way. And every time I go into Lincoln Financial and I see that 99 up there, he always talks, and his time wasn't there long enough because he was on his way to being a Hall of Famer. I think he's better than Sapp, and he would have been on his way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, I mean, it was really great to see how they revered him, especially how Reggie loved him.
Yeah, I loved every time I got an opportunity to hear Reggie White. If I got a chance to watch a video, hear a speech, whatever, and hear him talk about Jerome Brown. Absolutely. And you know what? I'm so glad you brought this up because it gives us an opportunity, despite what's going on right now, to talk about one positive. I've heard you talk about Jalen Carter with a lot of affection. And now we got 3 games left in this NFL season. What are you taking away? What is your assessment of Jalen Carter, in the first year of him being in the NFL?
He's had a better rookie year than Jerome. And I see the same, Jerome had faults as we all did when we were in college. We all made mistakes. There were situations in college with Jerome that many people questioned too. We knew he was going to the Eagles because Norman Brayman is big down in South Florida. He's got a Cadillac dealership down there. We knew him. I didn't know that he was the guy in France, but Buddy Ryan used to come down all the time. And when he came down in 86, Mark, him and Jimmy were friends. I mean, me, Jerome, and Stubbs and a couple guys back in the day went out to lunch with, I think it was Buddy's first year being the head coach of the Eagles in '86. And he would talk to us about defense. And it was really, and we kind of all knew because Buddy loved him, man. And, you know, when I watched Jalen Carter play, quickness, he's bigger. He's got better quickness in his hands. I think he has every chance to be a tick above Fletcher Cox. And I think Fletcher Cox may not get in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I'll tell you what, he's at the doorstep. And if he's a tick above that, I think there's somebody special. Now, again, you got his issues are going to be more about speed bumps in life than there are going to be about his opponent's not on the field. His opponent will be the people around him and who he surrounds himself with. And if he does that correctly, he's got a chance to fulfill a prophecy that wasn't fulfilled in Philadelphia with 98. Now 99, when it was Jerome, he was 98 at college, but 99 at Eagles. But he's got a chance. And it's funny, Carter wears 99. And so they were both drafted 9th. So there's a lot of parallels with both those guys. And I think he's just been special. And I'll tell you this too, I've been pretty wrong about the other guy. I think Jordan Davis is it's a different looking dude. I mean, last year he was fat. He was out of shape. He wasn't really, I think it was a role he wasn't prepared to be in, being a backup and a substitute. And I think that took a little bit of adjustment. You got to remember, he was a superstar at Georgia, and being put in a role like that, when you're a starter your entire career, really, when I got to the Bucks, the whole thing, I'd never played nose. I had never been a backup. And all of a sudden you're thrust in these roles you've never been in. So he went through some trials and tribulations last year. And I'll tell you what, man, he's been rock steady. He's been like a fire hydrant this year. I think he's had a really good year too. I really do. I think Carter, though, has a chance to be special.
I'll cross my fingers for it, and I absolutely agree. I'm blown away by what I've seen so far in his rookie season here. Now to transition to what's not so great. I love this because right before I did your show, so the time we air this will be Thursday morning. So this is an early bird special with you here. You're going to be on at 6:20 in the morning.
I got it right.
Yeah. So right before I was on your show at 4:30 Wednesday, the Eagles went live with Nick Sirianni's press conference. So I just caught that, and then I went on your show. And I was going to ask you about this when you came on for this hit right here. And I love that when you signed on, it was the first thing you said. Did you hear Sirianni say this? Now, by the time we air this on the show, we've already played the clip of Nick Sirianni saying that they kind of were going for pass interference there. You could get a pass interference call on that last throw of the game from Jalen Hurts that was intercepted targeting A.J. Brown. You could get a pass interference. They were crossing their fingers, Sills, to get a pass interference. That's what the play calling on the offensive side of the football has been reduced to for the Philadelphia Eagles. Your thoughts?
Wishful thinking? I mean, Mark, so have you ever run a 2-minute drill? Have you ever, in your life, ever practiced that scenario? I mean, to put the game in the hands of the referees so that you're going to have wishful thinking is not a game plan. You know, I'll say it one more time. They have completely failed Jalen Hurts. It's easy to sit here and bang on Hurts leading the NFL in turnovers. But I'm telling you, they have done that guy absolutely no favors with that type of mentality and the type of game planning that they do. I got to tell you, man, they haven't evolved. They have stagnated this kid's growth. And they were blown away by the fact that he grew so much under Shane Steichen that they haven't helped him. And why would you give a guy $50 million and put training wheel coaches around him? It blows my mind. I mean, why wouldn't you hire the most competent people? Look what they did in Baltimore. And here's another great example. Mark, think about what they did in Buffalo with Joe Brady. So look at the equity that Joe Brady has built up now with a qualified play caller with Josh Allen. They convinced him, Mark, that he only had to throw the ball 15 times to blow the Cowboys out. Don't you think the next time he puts a game plan in front of Josh Allen looks down at that and goes, hey, I don't have to throw the ball 55 times. I could have 7 completions and blow a team out. You understand the equity and trust you build up with a play caller when you're showing success like that. They have not done that all year long. And when you come out and say wishful thinking at the end of ball games, no wonder the kid doesn't have confidence in you.
So when you look at the progressions of Jalen Hurts, I always like to say that no matter what the play call is, no matter what the design is, the progression, the last say over where the football goes is the quarterback at that time. But I think what your theory is that they've drilled it into his head that first progression isn't a suggestion. It's where the football goes. And if you watch him and you especially see the missed underneath route to Devontae Smith where he targeted A.J. Brown on the first progression, and at the end of the game where you had Kenny Gainwell leak out there on the delayed route and he targeted A.J. Brown, that's not a decision by the quarterback. That's drilled into his head. Hey, this is where the ball's going. We want the splash play. It's your contention that you think that's what they're telling him to do.
I think they're coaching him like a college quarterback. And what I mean by that is they tell college quarterbacks where to throw the ball. You know, on the sidelines, they have those cards and they show you where to throw the ball. In the NFL, you've got to know pre-snap reads where you're going to go with the ball because every defense on a particular sequence of plays has a certain defense that's going to counter what you're showing, whether it comes in jet motions, what have you, in alignment, where you are in the field. Quarterback has to be able to read what the defense is, hash mark, short side of the field. You know, Bill Walsh told me years ago how they developed Joe Montana. Half the field, what they would do is they would always roll Joe right. And what that did, Mark, was it gave them a safety net. You had the out of bounds, you had half the field, and Joe only had to manage half the field. Well, when Montana became better, they put him in the middle of the field with 7-step drop, and then he became a weapon. Because you got to remember, first part of his career, he didn't have Jerry Rice. I mean, he had guys like Burt Cooper and Freddie Solomon. I mean, he didn't have the legendary wideout. So he progressed him and gradually taught him how to read defenses. This is Joe Montana. And Tom Brady the same way. They half the field. He didn't roll because he couldn't roll. But what they would do is they'd put him on a hash, and he only had to manage half the field. Well, once Brady saw all the field, it became a weapon. I think they expedited his growth because of what they saw a year ago and what Shane did. And how I look at it this way with Jalen. Last year, Shane Steichen was a jet star too. Along with Jalen, they were both going like this. The offense was going like this. Well, when Shane left, Jalen kept going like this. And in my opinion, Mark, you know, they get out to a 10-win season and all of a sudden defenses start catching up with you. And they caught up with him. And nothing has progressed and nothing has evolved in that offense. Do you not agree that offense looks like the Nick Sirianni 2-5 offense from 2021? I mean, how much has that thing really evolved? A couple jet sweeps, a little bit of motion we saw. I mean, those have just been added recently. I think Jalen, they're hurting him in his evolving as a quarterback. They're hurting him. And you know, you're hearing the whispers of Wentz. You know, I don't think the organization helped Wentz. Wentz is not strong enough to overcome that. I think Jalen is strong enough to overcome that with his intestinal fortitude. He's eventually really going to, in my opinion, I think this is the first time he saw when he came out and said publicly, I think they were shots at the coaches. I don't think they were shots at the players.
The commitment line?
Accountability.
Okay.
I think he's talking about the coaching staff because every guy in the offense is having a career year. Who's he talking about? I mean, who's he really talking about? The only people that aren't having career years are the assistant coaches. Do you not agree? I mean, look, AJ's going to have a career year.
Yeah.
Devontae's going to have a career year. Swift's having a career year. Hey, in some aspects, Hurts is going to have a career year with numbers thrown, passes thrown, completions. Completion percentage is going to be right up there. Maybe touchdown passes. What's the problem? I mean, every guy in your offense is going to have a career year. And we look at the offense going, how come he's leading the league in turnovers?
So what's interesting about that is because he's got that great relationship supposedly with Brian Johnson, his offensive play caller. So is he throwing him under the bus? Is he going Nick Sirianni? Okay, fair enough.
I mean, Mark, I don't want my.
I would think there'd be a trust. Okay,
Mark, I don't want my best friend as my play caller. I want the most qualified guy as my play caller. If you want to play bridge and you want to play pinochle, I'm ready to rock with you, man. We're good. You know, you and me could play, we can play spades and stuff. We can play cards. We can play gin rummy. I don't care. End of the day here, though, I want the most qualified guy around a $50 million investment. Don't you?
Absolutely. Which is why I also find it interesting, and I know we're going to get to this conversation, so let's jump into it. Frank Reich, speed dial. If it's on speed dial, that's not a very fast speed dial. Why haven't they, broken that glass behind that button? You know what I'm saying? They already broke the glass defensively, elevating Matt Patricia and demoting Sean Desai. It obviously hasn't worked that great with play calling. You haven't seen the creativity. You haven't seen the consistency. At times, you pointed out, you see the motion in the first quarter there on the first drive against the Seahawks, and then poof, it's gone. So when do you think, and will they ever call up Frank Reich and say, hey, we need some help here?
Well, I got 48 million reasons of David Tepper's money that, I don't know. I mean, are you really going to get me in a consultant's role when I'm getting $48 million on the way?
I'd be taking a long vacation too. But I mean,
Mark, do you really want to sit in Philly in the rain, or do you want to sit in Tahiti on the beach? I mean, you just got $48 million out the door, dude. He had years on the contract still. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Hey, I am of the school that he might be bored. He might be kicking his feet up, relaxing, taking it all in. But if he's got a great personal relationship with Nick Sirianni, which we know he does, very close. And we already know that they've texted. We already know that they have communication.
They talk weekly.
So go ahead, sit on that beach, baby. Then hop on that Zoom. You know what I'm saying? Hop on that little StreamYard conference, that little text message, hey, watch a little film. The guy still loves ball. We know that.
And he loves Philly.
And he loves Philly.
I'll tell you who else loves him. Jeffrey Lurie loves him. The guy who recommended Nick Sirianni to Jeffrey Lurie was Frank Reich. So, I mean, all those coaches that came over from Indianapolis, Shane Steichen was in Indianapolis. All those guys were there. And they're all in the Doug Peterson tree of life, it seems, too. You know what I mean? I mean, Mike McCoy, that all goes back to San Diego when the Chargers were in San Diego back in the day when Sirianni was the wide receiver coach and Frank was the offensive coordinator. All that stuff goes back to that. So, and Jalen has a great admiration for the way Phillip Rivers spreads the ball out. He loves the way he throws the ball. He loves and how he sees the routes. So, I mean, it makes sense. And who would you feel more comfortable? And by the way, I don't really have a problem with them moving to Desai out. I have a problem with the way the whole thing went down and how they acted and how it's been. And now, now you're hearing wishful thinking plays. And, one day it's like, hey, he's my boy. The next day he's fired. And now he's a coffee cup holder. I mean, I'm so confused in your organization. Hey, do me a favor. Grab me a couple cannolis, okay? I appreciate it very much. And I'll go to the box. I'm like, what are you doing here? I don't know what's going on, man. I'm so confused.
I am as well. So it all boils down to what now? You got 3 games left in the regular season. You got God knows how many playoff games in front of you here. How do you see this playing out, Dan Sileo, for the rest of this Eagles season?
Well, think about it here. Of all the teams, I think there's 6 that have double-digit wins. The easiest and the least road to any kind of issues are the Eagles. They have the easiest road towards the end of the season. I mean, if you told me with some of the chaos going on, you went 13-4. Okay, you got blown out. Hey, by the way, did the Niners not lose to P.J. Walker? I mean, I mean, they didn't get blown out. It was a missed field goal, but hey, you lost to a backup too. Name was P.J. Walker. Is that a Temple guy?
You're damn right. That's a Temple guy. Thank you very much.
I forgot not another one of you guys. Between you, Angelo, and Rob Ellis, man. Holy cow, you guys. Okay, I better start picking on Lehigh.
Hey, Angelo, I believe, is Columbia. Well, grad school at Columbia. Yeah, I think that's the ticket. Anthony. I know Anthony's a Temple guy.
Sure he's not? You sure he's not the Columbia School of Broadcasting?
Oh no, I would know. But you look at the way this season. Here, I'll put it to you like this. Show you this real quick, and I swipe this off our friends over at ESPN. But check this graphic out, okay? Percentage of winning. Eagle, if they both win this coming week, Eagles 75% chance to win the NFC East. Dallas just 25%. Now, if Philly wins and Dallas loses, Philly jumps up to 81%. Dallas drops down to 19%. So they have, yes, the easier schedule. They don't have to face the Dolphins now. The Cowboys obviously do. So this is a huge game here, goes without saying, with the Eagles against the Giants just this week leading up to it. The rest of the schedule, though, lends itself, of course, to the Eagles again. Thinking they get back on track, what do you think this Eagles team is? Do you think this is a team that will get back to at least the NFC Championship game? Dare I say get back to a Super Bowl? Who are the Eagles right now to you?
No, the Eagles are a one-and-done team
Mm.
because they're going to have to play, in my opinion, if they're going to play a wild card team, probably be the Bucks.
Yeah.
If they play in the wild card, and they're going to get the Niners after that because they're the wild card team, and they're going to go to Santa Clara, get their doorknobs blown off. Now, here's the one thing, though, too, to let this thing play out, Mark. The Niners have shown you they can't play without injuries. So let the war of attrition play out. We still don't know how this – I mean, look at how the NFC Championship game, with one hit, changed in one dynamic.
Right.
The quarterback got – we don't – so you end up 13-4. Okay, if they lose Trent Williams, I like the Eagles' chances going out to Santa Clara and winning that game. Don't you? I mean,
yeah.
That pushes them up a little more. So to me, I think we're now in the part of the schedule where the war of attrition and the roster is going to play an issue here. So do I think they have the personnel, if everything stands pat, to beat? I don't think they could beat the Cowboys. I think they're closer to the Lions than they are to the Cowboys.
Okay.
But
if they get the Cowboys, if they host the Cowboys, if they're able to win the division and host the Cowboys, I like them against the Cowboys.
Okay. That game would be a pick'em game, in my opinion. Now, if they're but here it comes down to this though. Okay, are they going to do the right thing and run the ball, or are they going to want to throw the ball? I mean, the Buffalo Bills showed you how to beat them, run them over. Mm-hmm. Michael Parsons is not a physical guy. He's just not a physical guy. Why didn't you run at him? You felt so compelled because you didn't want to have one of those Monday morning meetings with Jeffrey Lurie that you had to. Hey, it doesn't. It wouldn't shock me if Doug Peterson, after Super Bowl 52, had to walk in there and explain himself after the Philly special. I mean, where'd you get that from? Where'd that play come from? How'd you slip that in over the analytics guys? I'd give him an Elon Musk answer on that one.
Dan, hey, real quick before I let you go, I appreciate you being so generous with your time.
Absolutely.
Before I let you go,
you're always awesome.
Oh, you're the man. All right, you can only have one of the 7 fish. I'm not including a pasta, but you can only have one of the 7 fish on the table. What's your number 1 overall pick with the 7 fishes?
So I'm going Scoongeel, dude.
You are a Scoongeel guy. You're telling me.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And that is so Italian, man. I mean,
it's old school is what it is, man. It's old school.
Completely how my folks made it too, man. Oh, Madonna, the guy. Too, I do like Galamado too,
Yeah. No, it's
Bacala's a little salty. My grandma used to oversalt it, and I used to get in a, hey, come on, what are you doing here? It's a little too salty for me.
Now,
but,
you were telling me earlier, you buy the fresh bacala, the cod, essentially.
Yeah.
But now, did your grandmother, buy the cardboard at the market and then salt it, like soak it and soak it and soak it?
Yeah, soak it. I mean, my grandmother made every single one of our pastas homemade. We had everything. She was like the Italian Betty Crocker. I mean, even the Christmas cookies. I mean, we're out of this. The first time my wife goes back, and she's not Italian, so it's okay. It's all right. We're good.
Yeah.
And so, so my grandmother used to, because back in the day, they didn't have these Tupperwares. My grandmother didn't have any Tupperwares. And you remember those old, those shower things you put on your head when you got in the shower?
No way. Stop it. Wait a minute. No. Oh, no.
So my grandmother would buy a package of them. She wouldn't wear it and then put it on the meatballs, but she would go like this. So my wife would go, or then she was my girlfriend. What's under there? Because these meatballs. And again, our meatballs are Italian meatballs. You make them with the Parmesan, the egg, parsley, the day old bread.
Absolutely.
And then you fry them and you do it right. So
Yeah.
my wife had never eaten that because her mom's a white lady, she's not Italian. So she makes these meat things like this and she goes, "Aren't my meatballs great?" I go, "I don't know what that's not really a meatball." Okay, that's not
Veal,
that's
pork, and
more
beef?
of a moon rock.
Veal, pork, and beef?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, the prosciutto.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
No, do you put the prosciutto? Do you like cut up the prosciutto and put it in the meatball?
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I've heard of that being done. We haven't done it. Okay, I'm in. I'll try it.
It's and then
Okay.
you can take this and then the sauce. You could put the seafood in the sauce later, and another meal and
Yeah.
the sauce. Oh, good. You put lobsters in your sauce because I'm sure you make sauce like we do.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to have the normal cans. Hey, have the same cans. Don't have off cans. Okay, the same type of tomatoes. Okay, then you
Yes,
put
of course.
you cook them out there all day long. You're rocking and rolling with it. Let it settle in there.
Mm. All right.
Oh,
I literally
starving.
I literally have to go eat right now. Like right now. Sills, always great catching up with you, man. Thanks so much. It's always a blast being on your show. Make sure you guys are catching thank you. Anytime you make sure you guys are catching the National Football Show right here on Jacob Media as well. Sills, thanks so much, brother.
Absolutely. Anytime, Mark.
Damn it. I knew I wasn't going to do it. There we go. The great Dan Sileo joining us right there on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Appreciate him jumping on, man. Just have a fun-filled conversation. And for the record, I did go eat immediately after that conversation was over. For the Metagons, the scungil is it's like a sea snail. It's the best way to describe it. It's like an escargot of the sea, if you will. But yeah, I'm not as fond as some maybe of the the older school. And if you are ever curious about the seven fish or the seven fishes, okay, if you're ever curious about it, here's the deal. There's a movie on Netflix literally called The Seven Fishes. I was hesitant to watch it. It's a little hokey, but I will say they break down the seven fishes really well because usually people ask me, like, what are you doing for Christmas? I'll be like, well, we got the seven fishes. Then, we got Christmas Day, whatever. Christmas Eve is the seven fishes. Christmas Day is the President's Exchange, the whole thing. So they go, people always say, what are you doing? I'm always curious. What are the seven fishes? And it's like every family has their own variation. You have the same kind of basics, like cod or bacala is very traditional. It's probably the most traditional one. The eel is a big one. I don't do eel, but it really does a good job of explaining what the seven fishes are and what the whole meaning behind the night is. And it's a beautiful thing. It's mostly an Italian-American tradition. Not a lot of Italians do it. They'll have fish, but they just won't have seven of them. But it's my favorite day of the year. It really is. And this is the first year I'm hosting. I think I've mentioned that before, but I'm really excited about it. It is by far my favorite day of the year. And one thing that is pretty funny is that my dad's generation, they don't do the traditional bacala, which is codfish, where they buy it from the store and it's literally like a piece of cardboard. It's not even exaggeration. It's like the back of this legal pad. It's like this. So it's so heavily salted that it's like cardboard. So you got to soak it and soak it and soak it in water, and you got to change the water constantly. And my grandmother, I'm told she would have it in the bathroom because it was a warm room and it would soak the salt out faster. Man, it's incredible. But yeah, I don't think I've said it on this show yet, but do I still have it? Put it in a Google Doc so I can send it to my dad. Hey, Dad, this is what we're doing. Here it is. Yeah. Bacala. We're doing a bacala piccata as an entree. Calamari, tilapia sliders, shrimp, crab, clams, mussels, tuna. I make like a tuna crostini that usually ends up pretty good. And fried smelts. Smelts are a very traditional food. I'm going to do a cioppino for some other people. My mother-in-law's got a shellfish allergy, so I can't do all this for the entree table. But, soda casona. It is what it is. And yeah, it does look like our guest list has expanded to 21 people. Yeah. Most I've ever cooked for is 33. It's most people I ever cooked for. So 21's it's a walk in the park. You know what I'm saying? That's moseying down the the strata. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thanks again to Dan Sileo. Appreciate it. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. We all want tickets to the big game, the big event, the big concert, the big comedy show, the big theatrical performance. Well, enter the Game Time app. You shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets. The Game Time app has you covered with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views for your seat, and the best price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Last-minute ticket sales, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets on the Game Time app. And you get to see the view of the seat that you're buying. And those all-in prices, you know what that means? That means when you go, all right, well, these tickets are only $20, and then I got to buy 4 of them, and you get to the end of it right there. It's like, what? $120? How'd that happen? Oh, service fees, convenience fees, whatever the case may be. Not with the Game Time app. All in, so you know what you're paying. You buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. And here's the deal. They're absolutely obsessed with helping you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute ticket deals and last-minute seats. You can find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. The zone deals, you know what it is? It's where you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings. And Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's the Game Time app guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy, F-A-R-Z-Y, when you download the Game Time app. When you create an account, use promo code Farzy, and we'll give you $20 off your purchase. $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem it with promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price. Game Time guaranteed. How about, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful people of Manscaped? Manscaped.com. That's right. Manscaped.com for that stocking stuffer. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. If you haven't heard about it, this is the crown jewel of the holidays. And I dare you to say it's not the best ball trimmer of all time. It's the GOAT of ball trimmers. The electric razor's advanced skin-safe technology is a lifesaver and known for reducing nicks and cuts. And Santa will take care of you. And your own. You know, Santa's got a sack. You got a sack. We all got sacks. You know what I'm saying? With the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra at manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy20. That's Farzy20 for 20% off and free shipping, and your own Mrs. Claus will be thanking you. Plus, the boxer game. Take care of those chestnuts with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0, featuring their signature jewel pouch to keep you calm, cool, and collected. Nails seen better days. Manscaped also has you covered when it comes to your nails with their Shears 3.0 nail grooming kit. Nasty nose hairs. It happens. How about this? The Manscaped Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer. You can't go wrong. 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com for this stocking stuffer gift. Absolutely unbelievable. Say ho, ho, ho to a well-groomed mistletoe with Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy. How about MyBookie? MyBookie.ag. You want to bet on baseball, basketball, football, baseball when it comes back around, hockey, whatever the case may be. Also, not just sporting events, TV shows, politics. You can bet on it all at mybookie.ag. And make sure you use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy for up to $1,000 redeemable with the cash bonus right there at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get to the chat check today, shall we? I'm gonna start at the bottom, and then we'll hear. All right. Sean Gillespie, food talk is killing me. Mi scusi. Well, we'd be non-existent. Oh, without food. What would we do without fish, Mr. Irrational? That's a good point. All right. It makes more sense if I go all the way up here to the top here and start from the top. I should probably do that. make more sense to go chronologically speaking. And Sean's also the first one up here. Sean, good morning. Mr. Irrational. Really early, Dan. I'm here for it, Fuzzy. Thank you. This many Niners. Okay. Sorry, I clicked on it. Sills still in bed. NFC Championship game? Meh. Trey 979. Niners go away. Thank you, Trey. Mr. Irrational. Eagles beat the Niners. The Niners beat us in the regular season, which one is more impactful? Fair enough. Go Sixers! You got to be excited. I know I'm excited. Wait. Philly will switch up on you quick. Time's yours. The mob is fickle, brother. The mob is fickle. And we're just realists, babe. We're just realists all the time. 4 losses in a row can't happen. We're not the Seahawks. Let's hope so, Mr. Irrational. Farzi, you're under. Oh, that's very kind of you. Love your channel. You're very kind. Thank you. Let me see if anybody else is partying in here. Wait. Sirianni could call Dougie P for some coaching tips. I don't think that's going to happen. Ridiculous.
I'm sorry. I didn't quite catch that.
Siri.
Say that again.
No, I ain't talking to you, lady. Quit your jibber jabber. There we go. This offense is not the same. I agree. Dank, what's up, Dank? This is where Nick has to take control of the team. I hope so. I hope that's the case. BB15. There's no cohesiveness on this team. Very evident. I would agree with that. Running back, playing quarterback never works, especially. Okay. I am not here. Jalen Hurts is not a running back. Jalen Hurts is not like a running back. Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. I think he's being failed by his coaching staff. I hate that running back idea. I hate that. Julio is still Julio. Trey, if not bad. Wildebeest Davenport, what's going on? He is clearly putting Jalen in bad situations. Time and time again. Like I just watched, while we were airing the Sileo interview, I went back and I watched the all 22 of the 2 interceptions. Because I just wanted to be sure on something here. The first interception, he also has Kenny Gainwell open underneath. And instead, it looks like he just stares down the middle of the field to Quez Watkins. If Jalen Hurts throws that ball deeper than he did, it's a touchdown. So if you're going to let that ball fly, it's either got to be out of the back of the end zone or it's got to fall in the breadbasket of Quez Watkins. Or you check down, which is something we never see him do. And he's got Kenny Gainwell leaking out there for a couple of yards. And all you need is a couple of yards at 1st and 10. You're up 4 points. And then on the second interception, we all know he had Kenny Gainwell. The thing is that's tough about that is Kenny. So he's already looking down the field this way.
For the people on the podcast, I'm looking straight ahead as a right-handed quarterback.
And he's looking down the field at A.J. Brown. And behind him is Kenny Gainwell on the delayed route, where he's pass blocking and then he goes out into the flat. So you would literally need to see Jalen Hurts go, nope, not going to throw downfield, and then spin around. And he's got, it's not the pocket collapsing, but he's already got Lane Johnson drifting back with his block. And he's got to, if he was going to make that completion, he's got to loft it over to Kenny Gainwell, who would still get probably 10, 15 yards out of that play. Bob. What's up, Bob? Crying emoji. Love it. What's up, Sean Gillespie? Hello again. Eagles have been offensively lackluster all year. Sorry. Yeah, I would agree. Jack Jenkins. No respect for Sirianni at all. No head coach on 28th and Winton Sirianni. Are you calling him Sirianni on purpose? All right, then we got some conversation about the 49ers. I'm not there at all with the 49ers just yet. Quan, without tush push, our offense would be doo-doo. That's a fine point. April! Good morning, April. April saying good morning to Sean. Hello. John Messina, what's up, buddy? Tired of this head coach Excuse this team losing these games. Just fix the problems. Okay. Yeah, I agree. April, I just want the Eagles to stop overthinking every play. Other teams can read them so easily. Thank you. Okay, so that reminds me. He was asked, Nick Sirianni was asked about the Christian McCaffrey predictability plays on the Manning cast. And he said, we never run a play out of that. We never ran that play out of that formation. But I give a lot of credit to Christian McCaffrey. He's got a high football IQ. So basically what he's saying is like Christian McCaffrey can recognize a lot of things because he's brilliant. So you have to be brilliant to find us predictable.
For the people on the podcast, I just gave my sarcastic face.
Anyway, Embiid easily best player in the league, says Terrence. Yeah, I would agree with that. They're giving me hope, man. They're giving me hope. I just saw somebody put it out there on my Twitter feed because I tweeted out the same thing last night that they're making me believe again and I'm ready to get hurt again. And somebody put out there the Al Pacino Godfather 3. Just when I was out, they pulled me back in. That kind of thing. And that's where I'm at right now. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Likes the podcast voice. We need Tobias Harris gone before we can win a ring. Tobias hit a big 3 for you last night. I don't know. He started out hot. Has cooled off. Definitely need to see him get it going again. I don't think he finishes the year with the Sixers. I think he is going to be a trade piece. Wildebeest, I will never forgive Howie for losing Doug Peterson until we win a Super Bowl. Okay. The real crazy thing there with Doug Peterson is that he called the front office on their BS. Like, dude, I'm the head coach of this football team. I need some more power. I need some more say. I need some more sway. And they're like, not going to happen. Deuces. Going to Jacksonville. Niners go away. I would concur. Please don't do that. Eric, what's up? Hurts needs to speak out. He's proven he can be great. I know he was pointing at coaches. See, the commitment thing is interesting because of all people, you'd think coaches would be committed. Like, here's the thing. Of all the great coaches or all the great quarterbacks, I can't think of anyone, not that I'm putting Jalen Hurts up there right now, but if he's going to ascend to that level of like an all-time great, then he's got to make the play. It can't be I'm coached to do this, so there the ball goes. It's no, I got to. What's the best play to make in this situation? Oh, wow. Leo Rosario. Eagles should consider Tom Brady as a offensive coordinator. That's a spicy meatball. Let's start that rumor right now. Ringo Island, I'm not putting up there, but that's funny. Mr. Natural Audio Mark. Mr. Natural Mark. Oh, thank you for correcting it with Mark with a C. I appreciate that. Good looking out. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I didn't turn the microphone off. That is definitely not my John when it comes to the fishes. My aunt gave me her recipe for shrimp puffs that she made every year. They are amazing. That does sound fantastic. Bacala is fire. We're doing a bacala piccata. We're doing a cod ricotta. Wait. We don't ever make it to the full 7 because it's just the 3 of us. Let me explain something here, okay? April, darling, I literally invited 3 more cousins because I know they'll eat. I called my one cousin. I was like, it's going down. This year it's going down, and we need you back, baby. And he was like, I'm there. I'm there with his 2 family, with his wife and his kid. And boom, they're coming over. So yeah. And I also love my cousin. I just want him to come over. Tilapia is fantastic. Yeah, tilapia sliders. I think the kids are really going to like that. Mr. International, flounder, trout, cod, catfish, salmon. Flounder is one of those things I just got to get over. I love fish in general. I have to give flounder another chance. My Aunt Tootsie, God bless her. When I was a little kid, they had just her husband, my Uncle Joey, caught a flounder and brought it in, and she cooked it. And I'll never forget, it was one of those situations where I remember my mom said, run down the street. This is on Madison Avenue in Ambler. She goes, run down the street, give this letter to Aunt Tootsie. I was like 4 years old. So I run down the street, Aunt Tootsie, I got the letter for you, whatever. And she goes, oh, Mark, do you want a little piece of flounder? Uncle Joey just got this flounder. And I'm like, yeah, I'll have some flounder, whatever the hell that was. And she takes it right off the frying pan, still cooking it, scolding hot. She goes, here you go, little bite, burn my mouth like an SOB, you know what I mean? And from that point on, I didn't have flounder. Still haven't had flounder. I need to give flounder another chance. Rob V! What's up, Rob? I was just at the barbershop, man. I was just at Dave's. We were talking about you. What's going on, brother? That's where Leo. That's where my son gets his haircut now. Where I used to get my haircut when I had it. Let's see what else. Paul Mancini. What's up, Paul? Eagles haven't played a complete game in 2 months versus the Dolphins. Absolutely. They're 4-3 since very easily could be 1-6 in the last 7 games, as they really should have lost to the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Bills. Yep. No, you're not wrong. Steve Ike, you need some rest, Farzy. Your eyes are looking rough, man. Yeah, they are looking rough. No rest for the weary, man. It was a Monday night game. I didn't sleep Monday night, and that's going to affect me the rest of the week. You eat tilapia, but turn your nose at flounder. Eat tilapia, but turn your nose at flounder. I know I'm weird. Rob V, for what it's worth, I had a long talk with Hollis yesterday. He said the Eagles will be fine. I told him I don't see it. All right. Sheriff Brackett, I had Aunt Tessie back in South Philly. Well, there we go. Oh, Rob, you got it. You got to tell Mom you can't go at 7. You got to go to 7. You got 5. You ought to go to 7. We also do truffles with pasta. No, I'm in. I'm not going to say no to that. I love a good truffle. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Appreciate you. What? Pro Fan Talk. Check me out. Former Eagles running back. There you go. Appreciate it. Well, what was it? Would love to holler at your Farzy. Well, holler at me, man. I'm easy to find. Hit me up. I believe my DMs are open. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are fantastic, as per normal. Let's get to the morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, skymotorcars.com. Let's start it off with a little bit more conversation about those 10-9-8 76ers and what they had going on for themselves. Last night, against the Western Conference leading Minnesota Timberwolves and Rudy Gobert, who, what is that, a 3-time defensive player of the year in the NBA? Not a Joel Embiid watch, baby. Sixers got that win 127-113. Sixers absolutely took over in that fourth quarter, winning the fourth quarter by 11 points. Pretty even the vast majority of the way. The Sixers at one point in this ballgame actually trailed by 8 points, and they just fought back. I think that was in the first quarter, and they fought back. They led by as much as 16, and they shot 90% from the free throw line. Not too shabby. Joel Embiid, as I mentioned earlier, 51 points, a season high for him. Tyrese Maxey, 35 points. 51 by Embiid, 35 by Maxey, who also had 5 assists. Embiid had 51 points, 12 rebounds, only 3 assists. What a bum. But yeah, the Sixers scored 127 points in that one. Sixers will be back at it once again tomorrow night against the Toronto Raptors, so that'll be exciting. Your Philadelphia Flyers, who are piping hot, ladies and gentlemen, 18-10-3 on the season. They're back at it tonight against the Predators for a 7 o'clock puck drop. Flyers have won 3 straight, and as we know, they got a point streak going of 9 games now, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's what you got. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Coming up in less than a half hour, Birds 365 starts on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like, subscribe on the Jacob Media YouTube channel and on the Farzy Show YouTube channel as well. Catch you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Catch you guys tomorrow for a Friday edition of the Farzy Show. Have a great day, everybody. See you.